who your real friends are. Hi, I'm Ann Margaret with this week's Sacred Sunday message to raise the vibration of your body, mind, and spirit. Oh, this topic I think I could probably talk about over many weeks, but let's just jump in now with a little taste into how to navigate our friendships. We've seen in the last year, especially a lot of the dissolution of a lot of friendships, and also just people's true colors coming forward that we didn't know. And maybe we were happier just being at like a 30% transparency with them, but when we got like a 70% transparency, or maybe we desired more transparency with our some of our friends and it backfired, or maybe they didn't want that transparency, right? So let's talk today about how do we navigate this, because I know we think about, friends and acquaintances, but I think if we break it down to be a little bit more specific, then we'll be more successful at keeping our expectations in check, and then also being more compassionate and understanding with those in our lives who let us down or disappoint us, or when we have an expectation and they don't meet it. How do we keep in our hearts, rather than canceling them, rather than cutting them out of our lives, or rather than projecting a lot of judgment onto them that just simply isn't true? So thanks for joining me this morning. Let's dive in. So we've probably heard that song like sung at camp called "Make New Friends but Keep the Old. One is silver and the other is gold." You guys remember this, right? One is silver and the other is gold. Well, I mean, those of you who love gold might be a little insulted by that, and vice versa, right? So how do we actually create different tiers, TIERS, tiers of friendship that don't necessarily say that one person is better than the other, but just it's more of a match. Now, this is something when I do my relationship coaching or my coaching with people who are looking for a life partner and they're in a relationship that's not really working. It's not about, oh, I'm better than that person, or he's not good enough for me, or I'm not good enough for them, but it's about a match. Like, is it a match or is it not a match? Because when you think about it that way, that person is a match for somebody else. So many times we'll be in relationships and keep in relationships or friendships expecting things of that person or demanding things of that person, but it just won't be a match. And it's okay, because time is precious. It's our greatest commodity. It's the thing that I don't care how much money you have in this world, you can't buy more of. You can't buy more time, right? So, in looking at that, how do we determine which are the gold friends, which are the silver friends, and maybe there are a couple other tiers as well that we can put in there? So, many times we get into complications with our friendships because we have these very unrealistic expectations that they're going to do X, Y, and Z. It's any relationship in our lives, right? But as a friend, you're like, well, I didn't really think that person was, that way. I thought they were my friend. Do you actually articulate what that means to you, to that person, before expecting that of them? Oh, that's tough, right? Because we see in our lives, when we're kids, right? When we're kids, we're kind of thrown together, and parents are also kind of thrown together with their kids' friends that they wouldn't actually be friends with necessarily their kids' friends' parents, but they are kind of thrown together. So we have all these different circles of friendships. How do we distinguish between them so that we can keep those expectations in check, and we can stay rooted in our heart and love all of the circles, but know which ones we're prioritizing and which ones we want to be more transparent around? Because, I don't know if you've ever worked with transparency in digital design, but there's 100% transparency, right? So you can see 100% of the photo, and then we see so much editing, right? We see like 30%, so it's a little dulled or a little faded. This is how we move through our relationships, and we're not going to show all our cards to everybody, because A, they may not respond well. B, they may not have earned that depth of intimacy. And C, it just might not be a match, and that's okay, all right? So let's look at the circles first. How can we distinguish the circles? All right, and this might take some time that you want to spend on your own, or you might just do it with me right now this morning. So when you think about this and you think about precious metals, all metals are precious. Like, I love my silver. I even like my little knockoff earrings sometimes that aren't like 100% sterling silver. I love gold. I love my platinum, my wedding ring, like all of these different things are, I always treat all of them with a level of love because I love all those metals. I love all that jewelry or that expression. Is one more valuable than the other? Oh yeah, if I had to pick one piece of jewelry, it'd be my wedding ring. Obviously, those things, you have to decipher. If you're running out of your home and it's burning, who are you going to choose? What is it going to be? We have a limited amount of time in this life, you guys, and it's okay. You don't have to be everyone's best friend. So that might be a pretense of inauthenticity that you really are under, that you've got to be everybody's best friend and everybody's got to like you. And one of my favorite quotes of all times is Betty Davis, who said, if everyone likes you, you must be boring. And I would say you also might be lying because you might not be super authentic about who you are, because we're not always going to love every aspect of one another. That's what's so amazing about this unique experience of being in human form. We all have different experiences, we all have different priorities, and we all see the world very differently. And going from that interconnected oneness that we experience when we leave here, perhaps, or before we get here, to separateness, it's a very challenging transition, and it really has to do with our friendships too. We want to feel connected and loving with everybody in our lives, but we aren't, it's not designed that way. This life is not designed this way. We have differences, okay? So in looking at circles like the precious metals, let's say we've got our platinum circle, we've got our gold circle, we've got our silver, and we got our bronze. Now, anybody who's ever been to the Olympics knows that if they get on that podium, of course they're going to want the gold medal, right? But if they get up there and they got the bronze, that's pretty awesome as well. So try to think of it in that way. And we also have a very tiny circle that I'll call platinum. That's another precious metal. And let's start there first, okay? So we've got all these people we love, and we all these investments of time we want to make. Well, we only have 24 hours in the day, and we have our families, we have our well-being, we have our pursuits, our career, our passions, our children, everything like that also we need to spend time with. So let's talk about this platinum group, okay? Platinum group, now you've probably heard the saying, like, you only get like 3 real true friends in your life, or 3 lifelong friends, or whatever. People say that in different ways. So this particular group, you might have 3. All right, you might have even 5, but I would say that's stretching it. And when I first heard that, you all, I have to confess, I was like, that's not true. I've got like 15. And then I realized that really wasn't true. Like, I wasn't being fully transparent with them, or it wasn't a good balance of relationship, or I matured, I changed, and things shift, right? So with 3 people in your life, now this can be your partner, right? Anthony is one of the people in my platinum circle. That might not always be the case in your marriage, and that's okay. Like, that's absolutely okay. You want to watch the temptation to judge the position of your loved ones. Like, they're not good enough to be in my... No, it just might be that it's not as depth of a match for you and that person. And so let's look at that. So platinum, like, think about maybe 3 people who are in that, and it's like a daily investment, really. It's a daily, maybe every other day investment with those 3 people. Maybe you call them every day. Like, my parents have moved into that tiny circle. They didn't always belong there, right? They weren't always in that daily investment, but I call them every day now. They're not completely, I'm not like, we don't connect on every single thing, but that's okay. So it's a daily investment. Maybe there's somebody in your life that you're like, you know what, I could talk to them every single day and feel so uplifted and feel so much connection. Doesn't mean they never challenge you, but 3 people that you can pull into that inner circle. Who are those people? All right. And then let's go to the next tier, right? Remember, it's like an inner circle, and then you've got this. It's not like the people who are in the platinum group are up here, and then you got your gold. It's just more time and investment energy. They revolve like planets around the sun, closer to you than anybody else. And you allow them into that precious space. The next space is the gold members, okay? Your gold friendships. So the platinum, there is 100% transparency there typically. And somebody might kind of navigate from platinum to gold and back again. All right, but 100% transparency typically in that inner circle. You can be completely yourself with them. You allot them that type of transparency, that type of authenticity, that honesty, where you've got really nothing to hide. And also, you know that regardless, they're going to love you whatever you disclose to them. Now, that doesn't mean you share every little tiny secret of your personal life. Maybe you and your husband, have certain precious elements to your relationship that you're not going to tell anybody else in the world. Fine. But it's around maybe like 85, 90 to 100% transparency in that inner circle. So let's look at the gold now. The gold, I would say there's probably about 5 to 10 people in that gold circle. Now, there might be like a weekly investment, it might be a monthly investment, but there's around maybe like a 75% connection. So it's like, okay, you're matching around 75% of things. Like, you love each other so much. Maybe you're lifelong friends. Maybe you're more recent friends, but you feel like, wow, we really connect on all these levels. Maybe you pull them into that weekly or that monthly investment. And then let's go to that silver. It's a little broader and there's a little bit more space because these circles, they expand in width as well, so they can hold more people. So as we go out to that silver, this is a varied investment. This might be you're about 50% transparent or with them, or you can connect with them on maybe 50% of things, or 50% transparency or connection, okay? And then you've got the bronze, like the unlimited amount of people could be in that silver and bronze area. And there's also a varied investment. Maybe with the bronze, it's like 25%. A lot of people say like that's like the acquaintances, right? But then you don't break down the friendships. So all the people that belong in the silver, gold, and platinum club, you run into variations in how you define your friendship. So maybe in that bronze circle, it's like your acquaintances, people you really love, people you still would do anything for. This is something that, like, if somebody called you, this is what I would struggle with, you guys. They'd be like, well, I mean, I think I love everybody, because like if somebody really needed something, I would drop what I had to do and go and help them. I'm a very loyal friend. I'm a Leo. I've got a lot of loyalty in me, and that's what I would mistake and kind of mix up the inner 3 layers of friendship. So that bronze, you might have an unlimited amount of people around you. I know in New York City, we had a yoga studio. We had hundreds of people we were interacting with, sometimes 100 a day. And the love that we have for those people, or the love that you have for people at work maybe, or people at your church, or any of your communities, that your heart goes out to those people. You would spend time, you would talk with them, you would connect with them, you would do what you can do to be of service to them. But they don't necessarily belong in the inner circles. They're in the outer circles, right? So then you've got all the space outside of the bronze circle. These are all the people who maybe at one time they were on the platinum and they really betrayed you, and then, or maybe they were in the acquaintances, and then they started gossiping about you, and you're like, you know what, I want that person kind of like in the outskirts. You don't have to push them out. They automatically go out of orbit, all right? Because they're not relating to you with that symbiotic, mutually respectful engagement, okay? So you don't need to cancel anybody. You don't need to push anybody out of your life or cut them out of your life. Just redirect the focus. This is what these inner circles are all about. Spend more time thinking about, calling, engaging with, making plans with the people in those inner circles, and just stop focusing on the other ones. As how many times do we feel so pained when somebody does something, right, or reveals something about them that really hurts, and then we think, well, I need you to do this to get back in with my good graces. Let them go. There are 8 billion people on the planet. Don't let them go, like kick them to the curb and never forgive them, and just let there be space, because sometimes people need to do things. They need to have some space. Maybe you had a mentor or a teacher, and the teacher outgrew the student, or the student outgrew the teacher, or the mentee outgrew the mentor. It's okay, this happens. As teachers, we will let people stand on our shoulders to help them move forward beyond where we are now. Every good parent knows that. So as they go forth, maybe you support that child or that student in moving forward, right? But how many times does the teacher or the mentor get threatened and then backlash or do something against the student or the mentee, right? So remember, people change all the time. These circles evolve, okay? Now there's one other piece here that I want to make sure that we underline, highlight, and bold, which is this idea, and I can't remember what the exact quote is, but I'll just say it in my own words, that everyone's fighting a battle you know nothing about, so don't be an ass. Don't be an ass, right? Everyone is fighting a battle that you know nothing about. This is this oneness and this separateness. So when your friend doesn't call you back, or when they cancel, or even when they blow up, or when they have an issue, or when they say something that's not the perfect thing to you, and when you do it yourself, because we're all human, right? Never forget that you don't know what it's like to be in their shoes. There have been times that I have judged somebody else for what they've done, and then later we talk about what was going on in their life at the time, or maybe what happened that morning, or something that they were struggling with, and I feel like a complete ass, because I was taking it so personally, and I was making conclusions and judgments about that person or whomever it was. And the same thing has happened to me many times. People have judged so quickly without knowing anything that's going on. So don't be an ass. This is the final, right? Don't be an ass. Remember that that person is fighting a battle you know nothing about. And this is really especially tricky in families, right? Because in families, we think we really know each other, or lifelong friends. We think we really know each other. I am so blessed. I've got a lifelong friend. Our parents were friends. Our moms were friends before we were born. So she, Mary, you know who you are, has been my lifelong friend for 43 and counting years, okay? I'm so blessed with her. And with any relationship in my life that I might be a long-term relationship, it might be somebody I met 6 months ago that I'm like, this person, like, I really want to spend a lot of time with. Remember, it's not the duration of friendship. Does Mary know a lot more about me than that person 6 months ago I met, maybe? Absolutely. But at the same time, with these really close relationships with our siblings, with our parents, with our kids, it's so important to remember that even though we know them very well, we still don't know what it's like to be in their shoes. We still don't know. So grant people the grace, the patience, the compassion to let them have space, to let them come to you, right? This is a talk that could be like 5 weeks long that I could discuss. But today, remember, don't worry about pushing people out of those circles. Know who's in your platinum, who you're investing in daily. Who's in that gold you're investing in weekly or monthly. And, remember who that is. Sometimes I'll make a collage of photos of people in that gold group, so I don't forget who they are, or even in the silver group, or even in the platinum group. People in my life, to put them on my wall and look at them and say, oh yeah, I remember that person's in my life and I love them. Because how oftentimes do we forget that we have people who love us, okay? So remember, you're not alone. And also navigating those circles, remember, allow people to weave in and out. People are going through things you don't know what they're going through, and welcome back in with open arms when they are ready to come back in. All right? I love you all. And remember, keep the friends, but make new ones. Be open. And number one, too, remember that there are friends that are not human. You might have a dear pet who is like your heart and soul, like your little four-legged fur baby. Or there might be people you don't even know personally, but you listen to them like coaches. Like maybe some of you don't even know me personally, but you're listening to me and allowing me to be a support for you. And you're doing it once a week. Maybe I'm in that gold circle for you. Maybe you have a coach or maybe a pastor you listen to, or somebody else that's inspiring you. So it's okay if your friends are not people that you necessarily know personally. Remember, there are a lot of people in this world who love you and who love humanity and want you to do well. All right, so we can all root for one another. We can all support one another, but watch where you're investing your time and energy. If it's somebody who's constantly cutting you at the ankles, I've had friends try and steal my husband, ruin my reputation, steal my intellectual property, spread lies. I mean, we all go through stuff in life. But remember, it's where we're focusing our energy that all that attention goes. And when we do that, our reality shifts. So watch your focus. Love you all. Thank you so much for being here. If you need some more one-on-one coaching around this or anything else, reach out to me directly. And please feel free to share this with somebody who may need it. All right, guys. And until next time, you know what to do. Keep raising the vibration. Bye.